Hi, welcome to In and Out of Your Mind on WeTV. I'm your host, Tina Brigley. In and Out of Your Mind is a web series designed to get you out of your head and into your life. And today's guest is going to help us do that. Communication expert David Cunningham is one of 57 forum leaders at Landmark Worldwide, which is a personal and professional development seminar. So, David, thank you for being here.
Of course, thank you.
And we're going to talk about how to become an effective listener. And I don't know about you guys, but I had the experience the other day where my daughter actually grabbed my cheeks. She said, "Mom, listen to me." So I am thinking that I'm a great listener and not so good. So how do we become effective listeners?
Well, it's really important to understand that at the end of the day, whether we love our day or not is not a function of what we did. It's a function of the conversations that we had with people. So if we're skiing in the Alps and have arguments with people, we don't love the day. If we clean the garage and have great conversations, we love the day. So great conversations are really important. Listening is as important as talking. And how we listen really powerfully is when somebody's talking to us. Listen for what matters to them. Listen for what's important to them. A lot of times we just kind of listen to the information, but we're not listening for, hey, why is this person telling me this, and why is it so important to them?
I love that because it's true. We don't listen for what's important. We have this internal kind of thing going on in our head. So tell us, what is that dial in our head that tells us, we're looking at something and we're talking and we're listening and we're not really listening? What's going on?
Well, there's always two conversations going on at a time. There's never one.
Okay.
There's the conversation the person's having with us, what they're saying to us, and there's what we're saying to ourselves about what they're saying. And oftentimes we listen to what we're saying about what they're saying versus what they're saying. So we never really hear them in the first place. And that's how come people have the experience like, hey, you didn't listen. Because we didn't. We listened to ourselves. We didn't listen to them.
That's right. And now you talk about acknowledging others. And I had an experience with my daughter where she was climbing a rope in gymnastics. And she told me about it, but I was doing something else. And she went to bed and she was actually crying. And I said, "What is the matter?" She said, "You didn't listen to me." I said, "No, honey, I listened. You climbed the rope." And she said, "But you didn't say anything about it." So tell us a little bit more about acknowledgement.
Well, it's really, people want to feel important to us. If we see, to have a really powerful conversation or relationship with somebody, they have to engage with us. They have to be really engaged with us. And for people to engage with us, they have to have the experience like we value them and they're important to us. So to really make sure that we acknowledge them and thank them for what there is to be thanked for, or praise them for what there is to be praised for, is what has somebody want to be in a conversation with us in the first place.
Right, so significant. You talk about letting things just fly by sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes people say something and it's just like, oh, at first cut, it's just so annoying. Or sometimes people say something and it makes no sense to us. Or sometimes people say something to us and we just think we have to argue with them about it. We don't. Do you know, we can just let some things go by. We don't have to respond to everything. Maybe what there is to do is listen for, hey, what's important to respond to here? What really matters in this conversation? And then something can get said. We don't have to respond to everything. We can just let it go by.
Let it fly by. Like, how many times do we not do that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's so significant.
We think we have to argue every point sometimes.
Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah.
And when we argue every point, it takes the conversation away from what we're really committed to. See, we're committed to something in our conversations with people. What are we committed to? Keep to the point. And if something is off point, just let it go by and stay on the point of what you're really committed to have happen in the conversation.
Okay, I love that. Another thing that you really stress is making sure that others are heard. And what happens when we don't feel heard?
When we don't feel heard, often the first thing we do is repeat ourselves. So,
repeat ourselves. Yeah, that happens.
So if you have somebody around you that's repeating themselves a lot, guess why they're repeating themselves?
Yeah.
They're repeating themselves because they don't think you're listening in the first place.
Right.
When people really have the experience of being heard, they only have to say it once. They don't have to repeat themselves. So that's a real clue.
So if somebody says to you, the same kind of complaint over and over again,
Yeah,
it's usually because there's something that you're not doing for them.
exactly. You might even be there and you can hear it, like you hear what they say, but it's not you're attending to what matters to them and what's important to them. So they have to keep repeating themselves to somehow get their point across. And sometimes they not only repeat themselves, they get louder, right?
Yeah, that happens.
And more insistent.
Yeah.
That's all a clue. Now, what we usually do is respond to that by also insisting our own point of view. Versus, wait a minute, hey, this is just, they're letting me know. If they're repeating themselves, they're getting louder, they're getting more insistent, they're just letting me know I'm not listening. And if we just stop and make sure they have the experience of being heard, then we're in communication again.
So it's possible, all of this is possible to create really effective listening and communication with our family, our friends, even when it's difficult.
Yeah, and mostly when we're in conversations with people, we think the most important part is what we're saying. It's our talking. Now, what we say is important.
Yeah.
But it's equally important that we listen. That's what has it be a conversation and not, a lecture or a, some, communication. It's real communication.
Yeah, I love that. And I love all of these tips because I think that they're really important because we feel like we're not good listeners or we're really good listeners or everything's in communication, right? When communication's out, everything's out.
It is, right? Another thing is that people sometimes talk to us about things that aren't important to us, but they're important to the other person. My mom, when I talk to my mom, she's 92 years old. And oftentimes when I call her, she wants to talk to me about coupons that she clipped out of the newspaper that day. And the 10 cents she saved on canned peas, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not particularly interested in coupons.
Yeah.
But I don't have to be. I don't worry if I'm interested in them. All I care about is that my mom's interested in them. So I don't try to make myself interested all the time in what somebody else is saying. I'm interested in that they're interested in it.
That's right. And I think that's important for our children too, right?
sure.
Because they come with all these stories and things that happen at school and sometimes it's just really hard to be interested in what they're saying, but when they feel heard, they feel acknowledged, then their interaction with us becomes different.
It does. They want to engage with us. So whether that's a parent, a child, a husband, a wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, or somebody at work, a colleague, if we're having difficulty with a colleague, chances are, if we just take some time and listen to them, all of a sudden we'll have a whole new relationship with them and be able to work things out we weren't working out before.
And that's fantastic. It's incredible, really, when you think about it.
Well, people have to be in communication to work things out together, don't they?
Yeah. Everything's based in communication.
It is, isn't it?
Oh, I want to thank you so much for being here, for talking about listening and becoming an effective listener. I think the viewing audience can really take something away from this conversation. And I just want to say to you, thank you for watching, and thank you for showing up every single week. Now remember, awareness without action doesn't work. Take these tips, apply them to your life, watch this video over again. Let me know how it works out for you. And stay tuned next week for another episode of In and Out of Your Mind, where we will examine and explore ways to get out of your head and into your life. So watch us on WeTV. Thank you.